Hello, welcome back to our test taking prep for the 8th grade science regions test. We went through the first 5 in part 1, and we're going to go through another 5 in this part. All right, so number 6. The pointed beak that a woodpecker uses to remove insects from a tree trunk is an example of A, an organ system, B, an environmental stimulus, C, a biological adaptation, or D, a feedback system. All right, so just like we did in part 1, we're going to go through these one by one and figure out why they are or are not our correct answers. A, an organ system. So we're talking about the pointed beak of a woodpecker and how its use to remove insects from a tree trunk is an example of an organ system. That seems a bit far-fetched. So remember, organ systems are built from cells, which make tissues, which make organs, which make organ systems. A beak is not going to be part of that process. So for that reason, A is out. B, an environmental stimulus. Well, the pointed beak of the woodpecker may be an adaptation, but a stimulus is not the same thing as an adaptation. A stimulus would be what we are putting into something, and then we would see an output from that. So, because of that, B is going to be incorrect. C, a biological adaptation. I realize I just used that word to describe the one above. Let's keep that one open and then go to D, a feedback system. So a feedback system is going to work closely with a stimulus, actually. A feedback system would be like if we got sick and our body needed to fight an infection, we would have an input of a high fever or something, a high temperature, and in hopes that that output is going to be making us healthy again and putting us back in homeostasis. In this case, we are just talking about a beak, a structure of this woodpecker, and how it helps them to eat. So a feedback system is not going to be correct here. That does mean our correct answer in this case will be C. Number 7. The diagram below represents the results of a cross between a pure dominant tall corn plant, or big T, and a pure recessive short corn plant, little t. Our question, which result should be expected if 100 offspring are produced? Okay, they have been so kind to us. They actually went ahead and put together our Punnett square here. This is a Punnett square in case you needed a reminder. Punnett squares help us find probability for traits. In this case, we have a dominant tall, which is that big T. They put it here on the top. And the recessive short, little t, they put it here on the side. So these top T's and side T's represent the two parent plants. On the insides, these are the probabilities for our offspring. So we see all of our offspring have the same big T, little t trait pattern. This is what's known as heterozygous. Heterozygous. It's not really an important term to know, I suppose, for this specific question, but it might be helpful for later on. But if we look at all the offspring, they all have this trait pattern to them. So if 100 offspring are produced, what do we expect? Well, we expect 100% of them to have this trait pattern. So what does this mean? We have a mixture. Well, if you recall from genetics, our dominant traits always overthrow our recessive traits. So our recessive traits will not be expressed, only our dominant ones will when we are heterozygous. So in this case, we will be 100% tall because we have at least one tall dominant allele per offspring. Number 8, what percentage of an offspring's genetic material is contributed by one parent in sexual reproduction? So in order to, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go through the answers. A, 25%, B, 50%, C, 75%, or D, 100%. All right, now let's talk about it. In order to answer this question, we need to know what sexual reproduction is. Is there another type? There is. There is asexual reproduction as well. So, sexual reproduction, what we need to know from this, well, we need two organisms in order to produce offspring, one offspring or potentially more, at least one offspring. Asexual reproduction, just for your own knowledge, this means that one organism can produce one offspring. So you do not need a partner in asexual reproduction, but you do need a partner in sexual reproduction. So what does this mean in terms of a percentage of genetic material? Well, if you have two partners overall and you are trying to make one offspring, that means 50% has to come from one parent and 50% has to come from the other parent. So in this case, B will be our correct answer here. Never will we have 25% and never will we have 75%. There is an option to have 100%, but like I said, this will happen during asexual reproduction, not sexual reproduction. So our correct answer here will be B. All right, number 9. The numbers 1, 2, and 3 in the diagram below represent the different levels of organization in a multicellular organism. We have down here which chart correctly identifies the levels of organization of 1, 2, and 3. So we have graph 1 saying tissue, organ system. We have graph B saying organ system, organ tissue. Graph C saying organ, tissue, organ system. And graph D saying tissue, organ system, organ. Well, let's look at what is given. So at this very bottom level here, we have the cell. We know the cell is our basic unit of life down here. So this is in fact our smallest. And we go all the way up to the organism. So the organism, this is our biggest step. This is the one that we are aiming to build. So what do we have to do to get there? Well, we have to have a group of cells come together. That is our first step. So after a group of cells come together, they are no longer just one singular cell. They are, in fact, tissue at that point. So a group of cells build to come to a tissue, to make a tissue. So with that in mind, if we're looking at our charts down here, number 1 has to be tissue, and we only see that in charts A and D. So we can immediately mark out B and C. Well, what do tissues come together to build? Our question is organ or organ system. The easiest way to think about this is, do we think an organ system is going to build to create one organ? No, that's silly. That is very silly. So our tissues must build together to make one organ that eventually comes together with all accessory organs to make an organ system, which then makes an organism. So our correct answer here will have to be chart A. All right, number 10. The diagram below represents an incomplete electric circuit. Since the wires are not connected at X, which object should be placed at X to complete the circuit? A magnet, B, a battery, C, iron nail, or D, a second light bulb? All right, well, let's see what we have. So we do have a light bulb, we have wire, and we have a switch. Now, if I'm going down my list here, a magnet, what will a magnet add to this system? Well, it might be attracted to the metal in our switch or the metal of the nails holding the light bulb. Is it going to help complete our circuit though? No. So a magnet's not going to do much for us here. B, a battery. Well, batteries do provide chemical energy to then be used to make light energy in the light bulb. So that definitely is a possibility for us. C, iron nail. Well, an iron nail is metal, and we know that metal can conduct electricity. But my question is, where is the electricity coming from here? We don't have a source of power. So while we could add an iron nail, it's not going to complete the circuit. So for that reason, it will not be C. Same thing with D. Could we add a second light bulb? Absolutely. But if we have no power, we have no energy, it's not going to do anything. So our correct answer here will be B. And with that, those are the next 5 for part 2. I will make a part 3 where I go over the next 5, but let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and happy studying, happy test prepping, happy sciencing, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!